Ophelia making landfall this morning with strong winds and storm surge. So this strong tropical storm, nearly a hurricane, and hurricane watches remain in effect for part of the coast of North Carolina. Tropical storm Ophelia is currently located at 34.3 degrees north, 76.9 degrees west. So slightly north-northwest than the last update, and as of 6 a.m. local time on the US East Coast, it had winds of 70 miles per hour and a pressure estimate of 981 millibars, moving north-northwest still at 9 miles per hour. It's expected to make landfall probably within the next hour with its current motion, and we expect that the storm will gradually weaken now as it moves inland. Here's its current position depicted on the map with a very large northeastern wind field, that quadrant there extending out 270 nautical miles, that's around 300 statute miles. It is currently just 7 kilometers from Emerald Isle, less than 5 miles, 26 kilometers from Morehead City, 116 from Greenville, 257 from Norfolk, Virginia, and 478 from Washington, D.C. Storm surge warnings are in effect for large parts of North Carolina and beyond up the Chesapeake Bay, and storm surge watches extending for a few other areas around that zone as well. Hurricane watches also for Surf City to Ocracoke Inlet, North Carolina, and tropical storm warnings for large areas too. So we're still primarily concerned with storm surge. Of course, we've got the winds and the rain as well, but we are expecting dangerous coastal conditions along eastern North Carolina and into Chesapeake Bay. Up to 6 feet of surge is expected near the immediate landfall zone and some of the inland rivers as well, and up to 3 feet expected as far north as Manasquan Inlet in New Jersey. So all of those areas extending northwards there along that entire coast are under threat. Here's the forecast estimate for the next few days, the wind field shrinking rapidly and then dying off completely by early next week, but we may be able to trace the remnants of Ophelia down towards the southeast, possibly towards Bermuda during the middle of next week, but we do expect that it won't regenerate in any form, although some part of it later on could become an extratropical cyclone moving out to sea. There's the National Hurricane Center's forecast cone, top left, and its current wind speed estimates according to various different techniques. The satellites are way behind. They're not really getting a good handle on this system, mainly due to its structure, and some people arguing whether this even is still a tropical cyclone or not, or whether it is a borderline or hybrid system. I suppose there's all kinds of middle ground there, but the main point for messaging here is that it is nearly hurricane force and will be pretty much just like anything that you would normally expect from a borderline hurricane. 70 mile per hour winds, significant storm surge there up to 6 feet in some of those yellow zones and in those blue zones as well, including Washington DC up to 3 feet. GFS model there takes the storm towards the north and northeast, eventually dies off quite quickly, maybe a resurgence of tropical storm force winds briefly as it moves out towards the southeast. It gets close and then it becomes difficult to trace later on in that forecast period, but the main threat of the storm is obviously going to be within the next 24 to 36 hours, and I don't foresee that there'll be any major impacts after that. We'll show you the radar in a moment, but obviously we are concerned about rainfall as well, and we're about to take a look at the simulated radar imagery showing the general structure of the storm there, and it was probably going to be areas west of the center, which is somewhat unusual, but this is certainly the case with this storm, that will receive the highest amounts of rainfall. So center and then to the west of it potentially there for the highest amounts of rain, so some inland areas of North Carolina, inland from the Banks region, and then continuing northwards into Virginia towards the western Chesapeake Bay area will be receiving the highest rainfall amounts locally from this storm. But all regions along that coastline will be receiving some amounts of rain, some way more than others. As we take a look at the full rainfall expectations here, one or two little yellow patches there, that's getting up towards 6 inches. That's on top of what we've already received, of course. Some areas will have been receiving some significant amounts of rain overnight, and some of those green areas extending further north as well into a line that's a lateral line there towards the north of Washington DC. Near Greenville there, 6 inches. Jacksonville getting up towards 3, Raleigh 3.5, towards Richmond just south of there, 5 inches of rainfall expected. Norfolk, Virginia Beach getting up towards 3 inches. The Outer Banks actually not getting very much at all there on that latest forecast, and Baltimore there getting up towards 3 inches as well. Sea surface temperatures were higher for a brief period, and that allowed this storm to strengthen, and what you can see right now is the storm's influence changing those temperatures. This is, I mean, it does look at the lower air temperature as well, so this isn't fully sea surface temperatures, but it does give you an idea of what those temperatures are going to be. I would add a few degrees there. It's around borderline along the coast of North Carolina, and those temperatures will be dropping, which means that's probably the reason why this Storm Ophelia never did become a hurricane, because time is now up. And taking a look at the satellite imagery then in the course of the last few hours, you can see on shortwave there it's a structure looking pretty decent. That central area which is banding round, and the radar overlaying now as well. Let's show you just that radar imagery. A significant band on that western side, and a significant area closing in on the coast there, very close to Emerald Isle. That looks like it's going to be the landfall location, maybe along that western tip, and its general movement after that will be sort of north-northwest, maybe just slightly west of New Bern, and then towards Greenville. So all of those areas will be impacted by some strong winds getting up towards hurricane force, probably gusting to hurricane force even at some points, and obviously some significant rainfall there, which could be torrential at times. When it comes to flash flooding concerns, it's not always the total amount of rain, it's sometimes a rapid rain rate that can lead to significant problems, hour totals, 2 hourly totals. But this is Tropical Storm Ophelia at landfall.